you guys doing today?
Good.
You guys ready to have a great last day of MLC?
Yeah.
Okay. Today I'm going to talk about the importance of doing hard things. So I'm talking about three things. Listen closely. I'm going to talk about the importance of doing hard things. I'm going to talk about the cognitive processes behind those things and its connection to Black excellence and leadership. But before I start, let me introduce myself and what led me to this decision today. You're about to see a very cute baby photo. That's my family. That's me in the middle. I'm half Black, half Puerto Rican. I have a twin sister that goes to Penn State, and I have an older sister who's a graduate from UVA and is going to law school this coming fall. As stated, I am a sophomore at Columbia University. I am studying economics and statistics and a minor in computer science. But today I'm not talking about anything that has to do with that. I'm actually be talking about some psychological things. So when I got to Columbia, well, I grew up in Miami, Florida, I forgot to mention. And I went to an underfunded high school. So with that came a less academic intensity in comparison to an Ivy League school, arguably one of the best schools in New York City. So when I first got to Columbia, it was a big struggle for me. I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't that I came to this great school and all of a sudden I just started getting A's. It was a lot of hard work. I remember a lot of times in the library spending hours on one question for an economics or computer science PSET. So it was a large learning curve. Raise your hand if you had a hard time adjusting to college your first semester. Okay, so I wasn't alone. And it's interesting because it's hard to see that things will get better when you're just in the middle of things. So why am I going to talk to you about the importance of doing hard things? So if you guys don't know, I'm a Division I lightweight rower for Columbia University. But I'll tell you something really interesting. I never rowed at all before my sophomore year of college. That was probably the first time I ever was in a boat. I'm serious. After my first year at Columbia, I actually ended up tearing my patella tendon in my right knee. So when that happened, I couldn't work out, I couldn't do anything. Back at home in Miami, I work at a gym. And one of my mentors always rowed before at 5 a.m. I used to tell this guy, like, this guy's goal, like, he just hates himself because he puts himself on this machine, just wants to suffer all day. So as a part of my cardio aspect, the row machine is low impact cardio. It's not bad for your knees, it's not bad for your back. So I decided to use that as a form of getting my fitness back. I started off 1 time a day in the summer of July. That turned into 2 times a day, and then I ended up training multiple times a day and also multiple times a week. So I decided, maybe I'll try walking on to the rowing team. I'm gonna just preface this. I'm 5'7". Rowers are about 6 feet tall. So I was already at a disadvantage because I was short. And I'm also the only Black lightweight rower in the Ivy League, which makes an entire different ball game while entering a sport I've never done before, because all I've ever done was play basketball and run track. So why do we should do hard things? Well, before I even start, let me just go back one slide. What I learned was, like I mentioned, I struggled academically my first year at Columbia. So when I came my fall semester, I was now an athlete, a student athlete at Columbia. What I didn't realize was rowers have a 50 to 60 hour commitment towards their sport. We train 2 to 3 times a day. We have a 6:30 a.m. bus, practice from 6:30 to 10:30, have to make it back for classes. We can only take classes between 11 o'clock and 4 o'clock. Right after classes end, we have to go do another hour and a half training session, which is usually high intensity, and then we have lift. And then we can start our homework. What did that teach me? Well, I first learned rowing was not only a time commitment, it's also an energy commitment. You're training a lot, so your body's fatigued. Who struggles studying when tired here? Right. So that's the same thing I dealt with. I was exhausted, I was tired, I might have drank a little bit too much caffeine throughout the days, but I was able to continue my academic pursuit, and I still maintained Dean's List my fall semester at Columbia. But this is not what led me to speaking today. I ended up tearing a ligament in my hip in December. So this spring semester, I've been back to my regular student life. With my free time, I'm able to go to the library. I don't have to worry about sitting on the rowing machine for 2 hours, thinking about when this is gonna end. When I learned and I figured, why is it so much easier for me to do work? Why is it so much easier for me to think? Why am I knocking out so many assignments within 2 hours in the library that used to take me 4 to 5 hours? I learned it's because my brain went through something called neuroplasticity, right? So, why do we do hard things? Growth comes from discomfort. Throughout my time as a rower, even though it's only been 1 semester, I feel like I went through a lot of growth. Being able to time manage, being able to not only improve efficiency, but also increase my productivity. Because who wish they had more free time in college to do more things other than studying? Okay, so challenges make us stronger, smarter, and more resilient. If we don't push ourselves and continue to grow, it actually leads to stagnation. So this comes into the psychological aspect. If any psych majors are in the room, please feel free to correct me. So neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to adapt and change. Think about neuroplasticity in your brain as a muscle. The more you use it for the right things, the stronger it gets. So every challenge rewires your neural pathways. I'm a STEM major, so I like breaking down things in simple equations. Think about effort plus repetition is equal to strengthened connections. So how do hard things actually change your brain? So when you learn a new skill, you create new neural pathways. So when you overcome obstacles, it strengthens your problem-solving abilities. So when you push through discomfort, it builds mental toughness. So the entire time I was thinking about my last semester and how I am just doing homework tired, I actually didn't even realize that I was actually making myself a better student in the long run. It taught me how to do work with art. Even when I was tired, I was able to still complete my work even now. So this is what it means when I say it's important to be able to not only push through the hard times, but also being able to do things that you think is challenging. Who here has ever had a homework assignment that they thought, oh my God, this is going to be super hard, but they ended up doing it and doing well on it? So when you guys did that, you guys didn't know, but you also created a growth. Have you guys ever taken a class and you decided, I'm gonna look at the last semester's class, and you realize it's actually a lot easier than when you first encountered it? That also has to do with neuroplasticity. I remember when I was taking my data structures in Java course, and I look back at my intro to Java, the problem set seemed easy. And that's the exact same idea I'm presenting to you today. So, struggle signals the brain to adapt. Everybody, I'm assuming here, has heard of dopamine, that feel-good feeling, that reward chemical. That's released when you overcome something challenging. So within your problem sets, for example, or an essay you thought was super hard and you did well, and you find out you do well, your brain releases dopamine, making you feel like a champion, and you are a champion. So comfort zones shrink your growth potential. This is known as synaptic pruning. So if anybody here speaks a second language, and they decide, I'm not gonna speak the second language for the next 20 to 30 years, who thinks that person will still be able to speak that same language for 30 years? Nobody, right? That's because when you don't use something, you lose it. So I put 4 notable individuals up on the screen. We got D. Jackie Robinson, D. Ketanji Brown Jackson, D. W.E.B. Du Bois, and D. Kamala Harris. What do they all have in common, besides being African American?
Civil rights.
They all did hard things. D. Jackie Robinson was the first African American baseball player in Major League Baseball. D. Ketanji Brown Jackson was the first Black woman to serve on the Supreme Court. This only happened 3 years ago. W.E.B. Du Bois. If you guys ever studied Black studies or studied anything in relation, you guys might have read his book, The Black Radical Tradition. A lot of people might not know this. He was the first Black graduate for a PhD program at Harvard University. And D. Kamala Harris was the first not only woman, but also Black woman to be Vice President of the United States. They had nobody necessary to look up to that they could say, I want to be in their position. They had to force their way themselves. So what does leadership and doing hard things have in common? So resilience, adaptability, and problem solving all define strong leadership. Struggle builds leaders, those who take the harder road and inspire others. And we're at the Mentorship Leadership Conference. And Jackie Robinson is an African-American based scholarship organization. So what does Black excellence and doing hard things have to do together? So Black history, our history, is a testament to resilience. From resistance to innovation, every hard thing you do today contributes to your legacy of excellence. This is super important to remember. There's always going to be people watching, even if they don't say a word to you. So this leads to my 3 main takeaways I would like you all to take away from my talk today. First thing is you want to step into challenges. Don't avoid them. Fear is common. I promise you my heart is pounding as I'm speaking to you guys. I'm super nervous. I don't know if you guys know that this PowerPoint was made at dinner last night. I kid you not. But you have to step into the occasion and deliver. Secondly, you want to lead with resilience. Your growth inspires others. You'd be very surprised how many people look up to you or look for you for inspiration, but they'll never say a word. So not only do it for yourself, but do it to others that you don't know might be watching. And the last thing I want to leave for you all is a path to success is not linear. Think of it like a staircase. Sometimes you'll be able to take 5 steps up, you might have to take 2 steps down, and you take 3 steps back up, and eventually you'll lead to the top of the staircase. So embrace the struggle, and by embracing the struggle and being able to really do hard things, and that can be anything. Don't think of it as just something physically challenging. It could be a hard problem set, a hard major, anything in that area, and you'll be able to shape your history. Thank you.